Turns out, when your husband's best friend since high school shows up at your door on a Saturday morning looking like she just witnessed a murder, there's a 99% chance she's about to confess she's pregnant with your husband's baby. Yeah, that was my weekend. I'm Margot, 38, English teacher at Naperville Central High, and until Saturday, June 8th, I thought my biggest problem was figuring out whether to serve brisket or pulled pork at my husband Pierce's 40th birthday barbecue. You know, normal suburban Illinois wife problems. Should I get the good beer from Binny's or just grab a couple cases at Costco? Would his law firm partners prefer craft IPAs or stick with the safe choice? These were the pressing questions occupying my mind. Then Parker knocked on my door at 9 in the morning. Parker, Pierce's supposed ride-or-die friend since sophomore year at Naperville North, the woman who always had this weird territorial vibe around him that I chalked up to old friends being protective. The woman who showed up to every single one of our dinner parties, who had a key to our house just in case, who Pierce texted more than he texted me some weeks. That Parker. She looked like absolute hell, pale as fresh printer paper, eyes redder than the Target logo, hands shaking so hard she could barely hold her phone. I thought someone died. Maybe her mom. Maybe Pierce's mom. Maybe Pierce himself had wrapped his BMW around a tree on Route 59, and I was about to become a widow before I turned 40. Margot, she said, voice cracking like thin ice. I need to tell you something. I can't keep this inside anymore. It's killing me. I invited her in because that's what good Midwestern women do, even when every instinct screams that whatever's coming next is going to detonate your entire life. I made coffee, Starbucks Pike Place because I'm basic like that, and sat down at my kitchen island while she paced around my marble countertops like a caged animal. Just say it, Parker. Whatever it is, just say it. She stopped pacing, looked me dead in the eyes, and dropped the bomb. I slept with Pierce. The world didn't stop spinning. That's the thing nobody tells you about these moments. Life just keeps going. The refrigerator kept humming. The neighbor's dog kept barking. The coffee maker beeped that the brew cycle was complete. Everything kept functioning normally while my brain tried to process those 4 words. When? I heard myself ask. My voice sounded weirdly calm, like I was asking about the weather forecast. Tuesday night. Last Tuesday, June 4th, from 7 until midnight at my apartment. She was crying now, ugly crying, mascara running down her cheeks. But Margot, it wasn't just Tuesday. It's been happening for months. Since March, maybe longer. I don't even know anymore. We've been... God, I can't even say it. Here's where it gets better. Or worse, depending on your perspective. I'm pregnant, Margot. 10 weeks. It's his. I'm 100% sure it's his because there's been no one else. And when I told him yesterday, Friday afternoon at his office, do you know what he said to me? I couldn't speak. Couldn't move. My hands wrapped around that coffee mug like it was the only solid thing left in the universe. Parker's voice turned bitter, sharp. He said he would never leave you because of the house. Because you own this beautiful house outright thanks to your mom. And he's been leveraging it for his reputation at the firm. He said leaving you would tank his chances of making partner. He called me a mistake. Told me to get an abortion or disappear. Said I was convenient, but you were strategic. She shoved her phone in my face. Text messages, explicit photos I really didn't need seared into my retinas. Calendar invites disguised as client meetings. And then, the smoking gun, the GPS history from Pierce's BMW showing Tuesday, June 4th, 7 p.m. to 12:15 a.m. at 1847 Brookdale Avenue. Parker's apartment building. Everything documented, time-stamped, geotagged. Pierce's digital footprints all over another woman like some kind of technological breadcrumb trail leading straight to his own destruction. Margot, I know I'm a horrible person. I know I destroyed our friendship. But you don't deserve this. You don't deserve to be played by a man who sees you as a real estate investment. I had to tell you. I couldn't let you throw him that party. He doesn't deserve your love. He doesn't deserve anything. And there it was. The moment where most women would scream, throw things, call their mother, call his mother, set his clothes on fire in the driveway, blast him on Facebook, do something dramatic and understandable and completely self-destructive. But I teach AP English literature. I've spent 15 years analyzing stories, understanding character motivation, recognizing narrative structure. And I recognized immediately that Parker, despite being the other woman, despite carrying my husband's baby, despite betraying me in the most fundamental way possible, had just handed me the nuclear codes. She'd given me proof, documentation, motive, and most importantly, she'd given me righteous fury wrapped in plausible deniability. So I made a choice. The most calculated, strategic, cold-blooded choice of my entire 38 years on this planet. I was going to play dumb. "Parker," I said, my voice steady now, almost gentle. "Thank you for telling me. That took guts." She looked shocked. You're not mad at me?" "Oh, I'm furious, but not at you, not right now." I picked up my phone. "How far along did you say? 10 weeks?" "Yeah. Due in January. Mid-January." "Perfect." I dialed Pierce's number while Parker watched, confused, terrified, probably wondering if I'd completely lost my mind. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, babe, what's up? I'm just grabbing stuff at Home Depot for the deck repairs." "Hi, honey. Quick question about Thursday's barbecue." My voice was so bright, so cheerful, it probably gave Parker whiplash. "Parker's here right now. She stopped by this morning with the most wonderful news. She's pregnant. Isn't that amazing?" Silence. Absolute dead silence on the other end of that phone call. I could practically hear Pierce's brain short-circuiting 3 miles away in the hardware section of Home Depot. Wow. That's great," he finally managed, voice strangled. Congratulations to her. I invited her to your birthday barbecue on Thursday. We need to celebrate. I'll add her to the head count. She can tell everyone the good news. Oh, and honey, pick up extra propane while you're out. Love you." I hung up before he could respond. Looked at Parker's stunned face. What are you doing?" she whispered. I smiled. Not a nice smile. A smile that would make my AP Lit students nervous during exam season. Setting the stage. Thursday's going to be very interesting. Parker stared at me like I'd sprouted a second head. "You're inviting me to his birthday party? After I just told you I'm carrying his baby? Margot, what kind of sick game are you playing? The kind where I win." I refilled my coffee, hands perfectly steady now. Adrenaline does wonders for fine motor control. "Parker, you came here expecting what? That I'd cry? Scream? Kick you out? Throw Pierce's golf clubs into the street and light them on fire like some episode of a reality show? Well, yeah, kind of. That's what he's expecting too. That's what everyone expects. Scorned wife loses her mind, makes a scene, maybe posts something unhinged on Facebook that his law firm can use against me in divorce proceedings. Classic emotional woman narrative. I sat back down, looked her dead in the eyes. But here's the thing about teaching literature for 15 years. You learn that the best revenge plots are the ones where the villain destroys himself. All you need is the right stage. She was listening now. Really listening. Thursday night, Pierce's birthday barbecue. I've already invited 43 people. His parents, Richard and Margaret, who attend Grace Community Church every Sunday and Wednesday, who still think dancing is sinful and once lectured me about wearing a sleeveless dress to Easter brunch. His 3 senior partners from Morrison, Blake and Associates. Every associate at the firm. Our neighbors from the entire cul-de-sac. His college buddies. Everyone who matters to his carefully constructed image as Pierce Donovan, upstanding attorney and devoted husband. Margot, you're going to come to that party, Parker. You're going to wear something that shows off that baby bump. And when the moment is right, we're going to tell everyone the wonderful news. Together, in front of God and everybody. The color drained from her face. You're insane. No, I'm strategic. There's a difference. I pulled out my laptop, opened a document. Here's what happens Monday morning. You're going to forward me every text message, every photo, every piece of evidence you have. Everything. I'm going to document it all. Organize it chronologically. Create a comprehensive timeline with GPS data, phone records, everything an attorney needs for a clean divorce. Then you're going to write a detailed account of your relationship with Pierce, dates, locations, what he promised you, what he said about me. Notarized. Parker's hands were shaking again. Why would I help you? Because he threw you away like garbage, Parker. Because he called you a mistake. Because he wanted you to abort his baby or disappear so he could keep playing house with me for career advancement. I leaned forward. And because if you help me, I'll make sure he pays child support for that baby until it turns 18. Full legal accountability. No running, no hiding. I'll gift wrap his entire financial history for your attorney. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, barely a whisper. I really am sorry, Margot. Save it. Right now, I need you functional, not sorry. Can you do this? She nodded slowly. When he finds out. He won't. Not until Thursday, and by then, it'll be too late. I smiled that sharp-edged smile again. Pierce thinks you kept quiet because you're scared of him. He thinks I'm oblivious because I'm always grading papers and planning lessons. Everyone underestimates the English teacher. It's actually pretty convenient. Sunday and Monday were a blur of cold, calculated preparation. Parker sent me everything. And I mean everything. Text messages going back to March 14th. Photos that made me want to bleach my eyeballs. Hotel receipts from the Hilton Garden Inn in Lisle. Venmo payments labeled dinner and thanks for everything. The GPS data alone was damning. 18 separate occasions of Pierce's car spending 3+ hours at Parker's apartment, while he told me he was working late on the Henderson case. I created a 62-page document, organized, time-stamped, cross-referenced. My AP literature skills applied to destroying my husband's life. If this were a student essay, I'd give it an A+ for citation formatting. Monday morning, I also made 3 strategic phone calls. First call, my attorney, Celeste Morrison. Yes, same last name as Pierce's firm. She's the founding partner's sister and has zero love for her brother's boys' club culture. She practically purred when I explained the situation. Margot, honey, you just made my entire week. I've been waiting for an excuse to humble that firm for years. Email me everything. Second call, Pierce's mother, Margaret. This required Oscar-worthy acting. Margaret, hi. Listen, I know this is last minute, but I wanted to make sure you and Richard could come Thursday for Pierce's 40th. I'm planning something really special. Translation. I'm planning to detonate your son's reputation in front of the entire community, but please bring your judgmental church friends. She ate it up. Oh, Margot dear, we wouldn't miss it. Richard's been so proud of Pierce's career progress. He was just telling Pastor Jim that Pierce might make partner this year. About that. Third call. Pierce's senior partner, Douglas Blake. This one was trickier. Mr. Blake, this is Margot Donovan. I'm so sorry to bother you on a Monday, but I wanted to personally invite you and your wife to Pierce's birthday celebration Thursday. I know how hard he's been working toward partnership, and I thought it would mean a lot to him to celebrate with the people who've believed in his potential. I paused for effect. I'm planning some memorable announcements. That's very thoughtful, Margot. We'll be there. Pierce is certainly up for consideration this cycle. Solid work ethic, clean reputation, stable home life. All the things we value at Morrison Blake. Clean reputation, stable home life. Oh, Douglas, you sweet summer child. Pierce came home Monday evening whistling. Actually whistling. Like he hadn't just torpedoed our entire marriage and knocked up his best friend. Hey, babe, how was your day? He kissed my cheek like nothing had changed. Like I didn't know that same mouth had been kissing Parker 3 days ago. Productive. Finalize the party details. It's going to be amazing. I smiled at him, and he smiled back, completely oblivious. Everyone's coming. Your parents, the partners, everyone. It's going to be the party of the year. You're the best, Margot. Seriously. I don't know what I did to deserve you. The irony was so thick I could have spread it on toast. Tuesday, Pierce worked late. Real work late this time. I checked the GPS. Wednesday, he took a half day to help me prep the backyard. Strung up lights, set up tables, arranged chairs, played the devoted husband so convincingly I almost forgot he was a lying, cheating piece of work. Wednesday night, Parker texted me, "Are you sure about this?" I responded, "Meet me tomorrow at 5 p.m. Wear the blue dress with the empire waist. Showtime is 6:30. Thursday morning, June 13th. Pierce woke up excited, happy, expecting a normal birthday celebration with his wife, his friends, his perfectly curated life. I made him his favorite breakfast, blueberry pancakes from that recipe his mom gave me when we got married. Watched him eat them while mentally calculating how much child support he'd owe. Illinois law is pretty clear about that. "This is going to be the best birthday ever," he said, grinning. I smiled back. "Oh, honey, You have no idea. By 5 p.m., my backyard looked like a Pinterest board come to life. String lights crisscrossing overhead, 3 folding tables covered in red and white checkered tablecloths, a cooler stocked with craft beers from Solemn Oath Brewery and Safe Choice Budweisers, the grill already heating up, ready for those ribeyes Pierce had been bragging about to his golf buddies. Everything perfect, everything planned, everything about to go spectacularly wrong for everyone except me. Parker arrived at 5:03, driving her Honda Civic with the nervous energy of someone walking to their own execution. I met her at the side gate before Pierce could see her from the kitchen window where he was arranging whiskey bottles like they were pieces on a chessboard. "How do I look?" she asked. The blue Empire waist dress I'd suggested fit perfectly, elegant, appropriate, and just snug enough across the stomach that anyone looking would notice something different about her silhouette. "Like you're about to ruin a man's entire life," I said. "It's a good look on you." "Margot, I'm terrified. What if he tries to spin this? What if people believe him?" I handed her a glass of sparkling water with lime. "Parker, I'm an English teacher. I've spent 15 years teaching teenagers how to identify unreliable narrators. Trust me, Pierce is about to narrate himself right into unemployment and social exile. All you have to do is stand there, look pregnant, and confirm the facts when asked. Can you do that?" She nodded, hands shaking slightly around the glass. "Good. Now smile. We're celebrating new life today, among other things." Guests started arriving at 5:30. Pierce's college roommate Trevor showed up first with his wife, both already tipsy from pre-gaming in their driveway 3 houses down. Then came the neighbors, the Hendersons, the Patels, the O'Connors with their constant complaints about our oak tree dropping leaves on their precious lawn. The associates from Morrison, Blake started trickling in around 5:45. Young attorneys in polo shirts trying to impress the partners who held their futures in perfectly manicured hands. Pierce was in his element, shaking hands, telling stories about law school, laughing too loud at mediocre jokes, playing the role of successful attorney, devoted husband, pillar of the Naperville community. He spotted Parker across the yard at 6 p.m. and I watched his face do this fascinating micro-expression journey. Shock, panic, forced calm, fake smile, all in about 2 seconds. He walked over to us, drink in hand. "Parker, didn't know you were coming. Margot invited me," Parker said, voice steadier than I expected. She insisted, said we had something to celebrate. His eyes darted to me. I smiled serenely. "Well, you two have been friends forever. Of course she should be here for your 40th. Plus, she has some exciting personal news to share later." The color drained from his face for just a moment before he recovered. "Oh, that's great. I should go check on the grill." He practically fled toward the propane and ribeyes. Douglas Blake arrived at 6:15 with his wife Catherine, both dressed like they were attending a country club function rather than a backyard barbecue. Pierce immediately gravitated toward them, probably seeking the safety of professional conversation. I watched him gesturing animatedly, playing the eager partnership candidate, completely unaware that his entire career was about to implode in approximately 15 minutes. Then came Richard and Margaret, Pierce's parents. Margaret in a floral dress that covered everything from collarbone to ankle, Richard in khakis and a polo shirt buttoned all the way up despite the 82-degree heat. They spotted me and headed over with the kind of tight smiles that suggested they were already mentally cataloging everything they'd complain about later. "Margot, dear." Margaret air-kissed both my cheeks. "What a lovely party, though I do hope you're not serving too much alcohol. Richard and I were just discussing at Wednesday service how alcohol leads to moral decline. The irony was so delicious I almost choked on it. Just some beer and wine, Margaret. Nothing too wild. We're celebrating Pierce's milestone birthday after all. 40 years of life. Such an accomplishment." "Indeed. And we're so proud of his success at the firm. Richard was just telling me he heard Pierce is being considered for partner this year." She beamed with maternal pride. "Our son, a partner at Morrison Blake. It's everything we prayed for." I patted her hand. "Oh, Margaret, God answers prayers in such mysterious ways." By 6:25, everyone had arrived. 43 people packed into my backyard. Pierce's carefully curated audience for his carefully curated life. The grill sizzled. Conversations buzzed. Someone put on a playlist of 80s rock because Pierce went through a phase in college where he thought he was Bruce Springsteen. The whole scene was so aggressively normal, it made my teeth hurt. Pierce kept glancing at Parker, then at me, then back at Parker. I could practically see his brain working overtime trying to figure out what was happening. Why was Parker here? Why wasn't she freaking out? Why was I acting so normal? Had she kept quiet about the baby? Was I really that oblivious? Poor Pierce. He really thought he was the smartest person in every room. At 6:28, I caught Douglas Blake's attention and held up my wine glass in a universal signal for speech time. He nodded, clinked his bottle against a table to get everyone's attention. Folks, if I could have your attention for a moment, Margot has something she'd like to say. The crowd quieted. Faces turned toward me. Pierce's expression was one of mild curiosity mixed with relief, probably thinking I was just going to do a standard birthday toast and he'd escaped whatever doom he'd been imagining. I stood on the back deck, elevated above everyone, backlit by the setting June sun and those perfect string lights, very cinematic, very deliberate. Thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate Pierce's 40th birthday. 40 years is such a significant milestone, a time to reflect on accomplishments, relationships, the life we've built. I smiled at Pierce, who smiled back nervously. I've been married to this man for 8 years. 8 years of what I thought was partnership, trust, building a life together in this beautiful home. Some people nodded. Margaret looked proud. Douglas Blake raised his beer in salute. But tonight, I want to share something beyond just birthday wishes. Tonight, we're actually celebrating multiple pieces of news. Because life has a funny way of bringing everything full circle, doesn't it? Pierce's smile faltered. Just slightly. But I saw it. First, I want to recognize Parker. I gestured to her, and 43 pairs of eyes swiveled to where she stood near the beverage table, blue dress highlighting that small but unmistakable curve to her belly. Parker, come up here, please. She walked toward me slowly, each step deliberate. Pierce had gone completely still, drink frozen halfway to his mouth. Parker has been Pierce's best friend since they were 15 years old. Through high school, college, law school applications. Everything. Such a special bond. I put my arm around her shoulders. And Parker has some wonderful news to share with all of us tonight. Parker, would you like to tell everyone? She looked at me. I nodded encouragement. I'm pregnant, she said softly. Then louder. I'm 10 weeks pregnant. Polite applause started. Confused smiles. Margaret clasped her hands together. Oh, how wonderful. Who's the father? The moment stretched, hung in the air. 43 people waiting. Parker looked directly at Pierce. He is. Silence. Absolute, crushing silence. You could have heard a mosquito breathe. Then Margaret laughed. Nervous, confused laughter. That's a joke, right? Some kind of birthday prank? Not a joke, Margaret. I pulled out my phone, held it up. I have text messages, photos, GPS data from Pierce's car showing 18 separate visits to Parker's apartment since March 14th. I have hotel receipts, Venmo transactions, a complete timeline spanning 3 months of their affair. Would you like me to forward them to you? Or should I just airdrop them to everyone here right now? Pierce's face had gone from red to white to gray. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Margot, he started. Oh, I'm not done. See the really interesting part? When Parker told Pierce about the baby last Friday, do you know what he said? I looked at Douglas Blake, at Richard and Margaret, at every face in that backyard. He told her to get an abortion or disappear, called her a mistake, said he'd never leave me because of this house and his career prospects, told her I was strategic while she was just convenient. Margaret's wine glass slipped from her fingers. It hit the concrete patio and shattered into 17 pieces. I counted later while sweeping up the evidence of my husband's demolished life. Nobody moved to clean it up. Nobody moved at all. Richard's face had gone purple. The man looked like he was about to have a stroke right there between the grill and the cooler of craft beers his son would never get to enjoy. Pierce finally found his voice. Margot, this is insane. You're having some kind of breakdown. Parker, tell them this is crazy. It's true. Parker's voice was steady now, stronger than I'd heard it all week. Everything she said is true. March 14th through last Tuesday. Your apartment in Lyle when you told her you were at depositions. My apartment 18 times. The Hilton Garden Inn 4 times. You told me you loved me. You said your marriage was dead. You said once you made partner, you'd figure out how to leave her without losing the house. Douglas Blake set down his beer very carefully. Pierce, is this true? No, I mean, it's complicated. She's twisting everything. I'm twisting GPS coordinates. I held up my phone again. I'm twisting time-stamped text messages where you told her, and I quote, Margot's too busy grading papers to notice I'm gone. I'm twisting the hotel receipt from May 23rd where you charged a room to the firm credit card and claimed it was for the Henderson client dinner. I looked at Douglas. There was no Henderson client dinner that night. I called the restaurant. No reservation under Pierce Donovan or Morrison, Blake & Associates. Douglas's expression went from shocked to coldly professional. That's the look of a man calculating liability and reputational damage. We'll discuss this Monday, in my office. 9 a.m. Mr. Blake. Wait. 9 a.m. Douglas grabbed his wife's hand. Catherine, we're leaving. Happy birthday, Pierce. I hope it was worth it. They walked out through the side gate. Just left. Didn't even grab their coats from inside. That broke the dam. Suddenly, everyone was talking at once. The associates from the firm were pulling out phones, texting the group chat, no doubt. Tomorrow, every attorney in DuPage County would know. The neighbors clustered together, whispering, shooting looks at Pierce like he'd just revealed he was running a meth lab in his garage. Trevor, Pierce's loyal college buddy who'd stood up at our wedding, just shook his head slowly and walked away without a word. Margaret found her voice finally. It came out as a strangled sob. Pierce Anthony Donovan. Is that baby yours? Pierce looked at his mother, at his father, at the 40 remaining guests watching his life implode in real time. Mom, is it yours? Yes. Okay. Yes. But it's not what she's making it sound like. Not what she's making it sound like. Richard's voice was quiet, deadly quiet. That's the tone my students use right before they completely lose it. You committed adultery? You got another woman pregnant? You lied to your wife? Your firm? Your family? You violated every commandment, every principle we raised you with. And you're standing here at your birthday party, at a party your wife organized while knowing all of this, trying to tell us it's not what it sounds like? Dad, I can explain. Don't. Richard took Margaret's arm. She was crying now, mascara running, clutching her purse like a life preserver. We raised you better than this. We prayed for you. We believed in you. And this is what you do? This is who you are? Margaret's voice broke. We can't associate with this. Richard, we need to leave. I need to call Pastor Jim. Oh God, everyone at church will know. They left. Pierce's parents just walked out of their son's 40th birthday party while he stood there like a mannequin someone forgot to program. Parker spoke up then, voice carrying across the yard. I want everyone here to know something else. Last Friday, when I told Pierce about the baby, he offered me $5,000 to take care of it, said it would be easier for everyone. When I said no, he threatened to claim I was lying, that the baby wasn't his, that I was some obsessed stalker, said he'd ruin my reputation if I told anyone. Mrs. Henderson, the neighbor who always brought us Christmas cookies, actually gasped. That's disgusting. Right? I jumped back in. And the best part? Pierce doesn't know this yet, but I've already filed for divorce. Papers were served to Morrison, Blake at 4 p.m. today. My attorney is Celeste Morrison. Yes, Douglas Blake's sister. The one who left the firm 5 years ago because of the sexist culture. She's been waiting for an excuse to embarrass her brother's boys' club for years. I just handed her a gift-wrapped case with GPS data, documented fraud on firm expenses, and a morality clause violation that'll tank Pierce's partnership prospects forever. Pierce finally moved. Lunged toward me, actually. Trevor caught him. Still had some loyalty left, apparently. Just not to Pierce's choices. Don't. Don't make this worse than it already is. Worse? Worse? She just destroyed my entire life in front of everyone. My career, my family, my reputation? No, Pierce. I walked down from the deck, stood right in front of him. You destroyed your life. I just provided the lighting and sound system. All I did was tell the truth in front of the people you've been lying to for months. Don't blame me because you're too much of a coward to own your choices. Someone's phone camera flashed. Then another. Oh, this was definitely going to be on Facebook by midnight. Naperville mom groups were going to feast on this for months. Pierce looked around at the remaining guests. Maybe 20 people now, the rest having fled like rats from a sinking ship. His face crumpled. Margot, please. Can we talk about this inside? Alone? Please? Why? So you can try to manipulate me in private? Gaslight me about what I know is true? I shook my head. No. We're done talking. We're done pretending. We're done with all of it. You want this house? Too bad. It's mine. Inheritance from my mother, remember? The house you've been leveraging for your career, telling everyone how we bought this beautiful home. Nope, just me. You want anything from inside? Your clothes, your golf clubs, your precious whiskey collection? I'll pack it up and leave it on the curb. You've got until Sunday to find somewhere else to sleep. You can't just kick me out of my own house. Watch me. And actually, fun legal fact I learned this week, in Illinois. When one spouse commits adultery and there's documented evidence, the wronged spouse absolutely can exclude them from marital property during separation proceedings. Celeste was very thorough in explaining my rights. Parker stepped forward. Pierce, I need to know something. Are you going to step up for this baby, or are you going to be exactly the person you've proven yourself to be? He looked at her, at me, at the wreckage of his 40th birthday party, at the neighbors filming on their phones, at his empty driveway where his parents' car had been parked 20 minutes ago. I need a lawyer, he finally said. Good luck with that. I smiled. After Celeste is done, and after Douglas Blake puts out the word that you're radioactive, I'm curious which firm in Illinois will touch you. Fraud on firm expenses alone is probably enough to get you disbarred if they push it. But hey, I'm sure something will work out. You're smart, right? That's what you always told me. So smart. So clever. So good at reading people and situations. He grabbed his car keys from the patio table, walked toward the driveway, stopped, turned back. This isn't over, Margot. Actually, Pierce, it absolutely is. Happy 40th birthday. Hope it was memorable. He left, just drove away in his BMW with the GPS that had betrayed him, leaving his own birthday party before the cake was even cut. The remaining guests stood in awkward silence for maybe 30 seconds. Then Mrs. Henderson spoke up. Well, should we eat these steaks? Seems a shame to waste them. And that's how Pierce's 40th birthday party turned into my liberation celebration. We ate his ribeyes, drank his fancy whiskey, and at least 6 people asked for Celeste Morrison's contact information. Apparently, I wasn't the only wife in Naperville who'd been collecting evidence. Parker left around 8 with phone numbers from 3 divorce attorneys and a referral to a family law specialist. Thank you, she said at my door. I know I don't deserve your help, but just take care of that baby and make him pay. Legally. Thoroughly. She nodded. I will. 3 months later, mid-September, I was sitting on my back deck with a glass of wine, grading AP literature essays about moral ambiguity in the Scarlet Letter, when the irony hit me so hard I actually laughed out loud. Turns out Nathaniel Hawthorne knew exactly what he was talking about. The divorce finalized in August. Quickest proceeding Celeste had ever handled, apparently. When you have 62 pages of documented evidence, GPS coordinates, and a defendant who can't afford decent legal representation because every reputable firm in Illinois suddenly developed scheduling conflicts, things move pretty efficiently. Pierce got his clothes, his golf clubs, and exactly nothing else. I kept the house, obviously. Also kept my dignity, my self-respect, and my standing in the Naperville community as that English teacher who exposed her cheating husband at his own birthday party. I became a legend at school. Students would stop me in hallways asking if the rumors were true. Ms. Donovan, did you really invite everyone to watch him get destroyed? I'd smile and redirect them back to their reading assignments. But yes, I absolutely did. Pierce, though. Pierce's descent was spectacular. Morrison, Blake and Associates terminated him exactly 9 days after the party. Not for the affair. Law firms are surprisingly tolerant of personal moral failures as long as they stay quiet. No, they fired him for fraudulent expense reports. That Henderson client dinner he charged to the firm card? Turns out it was the tip of an iceberg. Once they started auditing, they found 11 other business expenses that were actually hotel rooms with Parker. Douglas Blake was furious. Not about the affair, but about Pierce making the firm look sloppy. Reputation matters more than morality in corporate law. Who knew? The Illinois State Bar Association opened an investigation. Last I heard, Pierce is working at a small personal injury firm in Joliet, 40 minutes south, taking whatever cases nobody else wants. The kind of place with commercials during daytime television. Injured? Call Pierce Donovan. Real, prestigious stuff. His parents? Haven't spoken to him since the party. Margaret sent me a card in July, handwritten, surprisingly kind, apologizing for not seeing Pierce's character flaws earlier. She included a Bible verse about truth setting people free and a $20 Starbucks gift card. I actually teared up. Then I used the gift card to buy Pike Place coffee because I'm predictable like that. Parker had a baby girl in mid-January. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. She named her June. I found out through the grapevine, specifically through Mrs. Henderson, who's become my unofficial neighborhood intelligence officer. Parker moved back to Ohio to live with her sister and raise the baby near family support. Pierce pays $417 monthly in child support, Illinois law calculated down to the dollar based on his diminished income. He drives to Cleveland every other weekend for supervised visitation because Parker's attorney argued he demonstrated poor judgment and unstable character. The baby has his ears, apparently. Huge. Poor kid. As for me, I'm doing better than I expected, and worse than I pretend. Some days I'm fine. Great, even. I wake up in my house, not our house, and make coffee and grade papers and teach teenagers about metaphor and symbolism. I joined a book club that actually discusses books instead of enabling narcissists. Started taking kickboxing classes at the YMCA on Tuesday nights. Even went on a few dates, though nothing serious yet. Other days I'm furious. Not at Pierce, surprisingly. At myself. For the 8 years I ignored little signs. The way he'd check his phone constantly during dinner. How he always volunteered to run errands on Saturday mornings. The times I felt invisible in my own marriage, but convinced myself I was being paranoid or demanding. I'm angry that I needed someone else, Parker, to shove evidence in my face before I let myself see what was probably obvious all along. But here's what I've learned teaching The Scarlet Letter for 13 years. Everybody loves a good public shaming until they remember they're all one bad choice away from being the person in the town square. Pierce made horrific choices, hurt multiple people, destroyed trust. But the satisfaction I felt watching him implode at that party, that high lasted maybe 3 days. After that, I just felt tired. Revenge is marketed as this empowering, cleansing thing. And maybe in the moment it is. But the real power isn't in the dramatic explosion. It's in waking up the next morning and choosing yourself. Again. And again. Every single day. Would I do it differently? Maybe. Probably not. Ask me next year. The house feels bigger now. Quieter. Sometimes too quiet. But it's mine. Every corner, every decision, every piece of furniture positioned exactly where I want it. No compromises, no negotiations, no wondering if someone's lying to me while I sleep 3 feet away. I ran into Pierce once, in October, at Whole Foods. He was in the frozen foods section, looking lost, holding a bag of pre-made chicken tikka masala. We made eye contact. He opened his mouth, closed it, walked away. I bought my groceries and went home. I heard through Trevor, who stayed in touch interestingly, that Pierce tells people I overreacted and ruined his life over a mistake, which is hilarious. I didn't ruin anything. I just turned on the lights. Last week, a student asked me about my favorite literary theme. I said consequences. He looked confused. Every choice has a price, Marcus. Every character pays eventually. The question isn't whether they'll pay. It's whether they learn anything from the transaction. Did you learn anything, Ms. Donovan? Smart kid. Too smart. Yeah, I said. I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just telling the truth at exactly the right volume to exactly the right people. And then building a life so good that your biggest enemy becomes irrelevant to your happiness. He nodded slowly. That's kind of savage, Ms. Donovan. Read your Hawthorne, Marcus. Everything old is new again. These days, when people ask if I regret how everything went down, I tell them the truth. I regret the 8 years I wasted. I regret not trusting my instincts sooner. I regret that somewhere in Ohio, A baby girl named June will grow up with a father who sees her as a financial obligation and proof of his biggest mistake. But inviting 43 people to witness consequences? Using someone's own birthday party as their public reckoning? No regrets there. After all, I'm an English teacher. I know how stories work, and everybody loves a good twist ending.